The National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress, APC, must have certainly given some thought to certain democratic virtues and leadership capability when it endorsed Senator Godswill Akpabio for the presidency of the 10th Senate. Akpabio, a former minister of Niger Delta Affairs and former governor of Akwa Ibom State, is enjoying the full backing of the leadership of the APC. However, as the race gets tougher, the camp of Abdulaziz Yari, former governor of Zamfara State, has vowed not to back down for their party's anointed candidate, irrespective of the consequences. As the clock ticks and inauguration gets closer, Nigerians are waiting patiently for the second week of this month to know who will be their next Senate president. Joining us now on the show to discuss the politics of the 10th National Assembly is Senator Adeseye Ogunlewe, a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and former Minister of Works of Nigeria. Good morning, Senator Ogunlewe, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Abati, Ayo, and Kayode. Thank you for listening, listeners.
Senator, we've been on this matter for a while now, while Nigerians are expecting the inauguration, the proclamation, and then the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly by next week. And the major issue here has been the efforts by the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, to dictate the party's choice for the speakership, for the leadership of the National Assembly in general. And there are persons who are saying, no, Section 50 of the 1999 Constitution is very clear. It talks about legislative independence, that the lawmakers should choose from among themselves, and that there should be no such thing as party supremacy. You have been in the Senate. You know the processes. Should we go forward with the party dictating the leadership, or we should allow the lawmakers to be independent from day one? What do you recommend?
Thank you very much once again for having me. You know, if we know the importance of the Senate President and the complexity of how he gets to that power, we will sympathize with members of the National Working Committee for taking that kind of decision, which, to all intents and purposes, is their right to do so. But it is more complex than that. Members of the National Assembly, 109 of them, they are representing their constituencies. They have aspirations. Some of them want to be chairman of very juicy committees. They have to negotiate before they go for the election of who is going to be the president of the Senate. But if you are outside of that chamber and you have now recommended somebody, people, the senators that will vote, what is their own stake in that recommendation? What are they going to gain? If you don't specify what is going to come to them, either as a zone, or as a political party, or as individuals, it is more likely for them to vote on that day for somebody who has promised them these positions, who has promised the political party these positions, and they've already agreed. So it happens in 1999 when we got to the National Assembly. The party presented Ewerem, and the majority of the members did not agree, but we voted. But the problem started almost immediately because there are so many interest groups within the Senate, important personalities who want to get this position, but if they did not participate in your emergence as Senate President, they have very little at stake. So that is what is going to play out on that day. Who has promised, who is more attractive to them? They must be able to choose the person they think they can work with. The problem of the present Senate is that somebody like Akpabio has been part of this Senate before he resigned. They seem to know him. They can assess him. They can determine his tendencies. Is he a proper person for them? Is it not? So these are the things the party must work on to make sure that they are selling a product to the majority of the senators.
All right. So thank you very much, Senator Ogunlewe, and thank you for joining us this morning. You are clearly in line, in agreement, or you align with the position of the party, which is the anointed candidate, Senator Akpabio. But how is the party managing other aspirants or others who are hoping to be president of the Senate as well and are not backing down at this 11th hour, if I could put it that way? I mean, there's still a few more days to go, so anything can happen. But is the party working to bring people together, like Governor Yari, who is intent on his pursuit? And yesterday we had Senator Sumaila from NNPP saying that they were backing, or he's backing at least, Governor Yari. We also have Senator Orji Uzor Kalu. We have a number of people who are still saying they are in this race, even though the party has anointed a candidate. Is there anything the party is doing so as not to have a situation like we had during the Senator Bukola Saraki time? Is there anything the party is doing?
It depends on Senator Akpabio now. What is he offering these other groups? How much war chest does he have? Because people in the National Assembly would like to at least, go back to their constituency with a few things to show. And that is a problem. You must be able to sit down with them. Leave the party. The party has endorsed you. Leave the party. All this is going to the villa, is going to this thing. We hardly work. Talk to the people the senators who will vote for you. What do you have for them? What is the negotiation? What are you taking to their zone? What is their priority? How can they have confidence in your leadership? So what have you done before? What is your position when you were in the Senate? How did you behave to them? What is your interaction with them? Particularly some of your colleagues. They will backslide. They will make sure that they demarcate him if he's not careful. Because as he's going about, without talking to the senators who are going to vote, those are the people you talk to now. Don't leave all those people that are following you to Villa. What can they do? You are giving those people more opportunity to say, look, you are going to be dictated to by the executive. So talk to your colleagues. Address their problem. Get into them. Let them have confidence in you. So that on that day they will vote for you. If not, they will just say, okay, you are an executive person. We don't want an executive person. We want a person of our own. And they will vote for that person. So come inside the Senate and work on them and tell them what you have to offer them. Those are that will vote for you, not outsiders.
Okay, Senator Ogunlewe, it's so good to see you, and you're looking very well. Good to see you again, sir. Very quickly, there's a first estate of the realm, in a manner of speaking, which is the executive, and they're very independent. They take decisions on behalf of everybody in the country. And then people refer to the fourth estate of the realm as the media, and we are very independent to a large extent. At least I can speak for Arise News, and there are other organizations in the fourth estate of the realm that have independence, will challenge every authority, will ask questions without being insolent or being despondent, but still ask the question. Now let's move to the second estate, which is next to the executive, the legislature. There are fears amongst a lot of Nigerians that if a political party of government that has reign supreme over the executive now becomes the one that will pick who will be the leader of the next or the 10th assembly, Those fears, do you think it is founded? You've been a member of the Senate before. Do you think that fear is really there? Please help us understand from your experience.
Definitely, it's there, definitely. But it depends on the personality of the person they are proposing. What are his antecedents? What type of campaign of calumny they can raise against him among themselves that will make them think otherwise. Some people are saying the Northwest gave 30 to 35% of the votes to the present executive president. Is that a factor? Would that be attractive to the people from that zone to vote for their people? So, what Akwa Ibom state is a PDP state. Is that an advantage to APC to bring somebody who is from an opposition party to head, although he came on the platform of APC? You know, these are the things, and look, Nigeria is not what we see in the day. Nigeria is run in the midnight. And members of the Senate, they have very, very powerful, mentors who maybe bankroll their election into the Senate. They would listen to those people in the midnight before the morning of that election. So if you don't get the trick of some people, you will be stranded on that day because they listen to people who you don't see, who you don't know. It has happened severally to me in the Senate. You will take a decision in the afternoon, but in the midnight, there are people who will talk to them, and because they come from their constituency, they will listen to them. They won't listen to you. And that is the problem we have. As we are seeing them, they are talking, they are relating to their masters, their mentor, people who can talk to them,
okay, Senator,
people who they listen to. And on the floor on that day, you'll be surprised what is going to happen if care is not taken.
All right, Senator, I was just going to ask you that what you just analyzed points to the fact that APC is not that strong in Akwa Ibom. You are a total and absolute party man that supports your party excellently well over the years. Do you think that Senator Akpabio will be a perfect fit, apart from the fears that people have that he probably will oblige whatever the president wants, and that is not supposed to be what the National Assembly should be doing? Do you think that is a perfect fit considering the constituency where he comes from?
I'm just saying the campaign they will mount against his ambition among themselves. It may work, it may not work. The issue of the power of the executive, we are having a different type of president in the history of Nigeria since 1999. Bola Tinubu is a politician. He's not an ordinary person. He's a master strategy. He's a master in this game. So whether you are against or for him and you are the Senate president, there is a constitutional provision in the party for a party caucus meeting. And he's a master in that. He will not act arbitrarily. Anything he wants to do, he will call the Senate president, the speaker, the secretary of the party, the chairman of the party, all the governors. They will sit down. Once he is able to persuade them, convince them about a position he wants to take or a decision, and everybody is aware. Unlike when you just send letter to the National Assembly to say, I want to pass this law, that was not discussed at the party caucus. So there is no fear in whatever form in a person of Bola Tinubu's type. Well, he knows this game. He has done it severally. Senator, so it's not alien
Senator,
to working with the party caucus.
Senator, the people listening to you, they will say, well, I mean,
Go ahead.
you will naturally praise the President Tinubu. After all, you are wearing the broken chain, Emilokon cap, advertising that you are primarily an Emilokon Bola Tinubu man. But you've talked about Akpabio. I just wanted to ask you about Senator Abdulaziz Yari from Zamfara West, Senator representing Zamfara West, who says that look, the consideration should not be religion or ethnicity, that it should be about ability, who can provide the leadership. What do you think of his own chances? Because he's saying his colleagues should not worry about ethnicity or nepotism or, whatever, but quality leadership, and he thinks that he can provide it. Do you think we're likely to have a 2015 situation as we had with the emergence of Senator Bukola Saraki as Senate President? Even if the chairman of your party has advised Akpabio and the others in the House of Reps to make sure that they arrive very early on the day of the commencement of the 10th Assembly, so that they don't lose out due to late arrival.
Thank you very much. As I was saying, there is nothing to fear, whether religion, zoning, ethnicity. It depends on the disposition of Mr. President. Don't act arbitrarily. Consult with people. Have lobbyists. Talk to them. Whoever is the Senate President to me, doesn't matter. I've been there before. It depends on the contact and the confidence they have in the President. President will call them any day. Let us discuss this matter over, breakfast, over dinner. As a political party, this is where we are going. This is what we want to do. What is your view? The Speaker, the executive of both the National Assembly and the executive of the party and the presidency will sit down, formulate policy for the party, and then take it to the National Assembly for ratification. But where you believe you are the president and you now attract so many busybody to yourself that will tell you, don't mind them, do this thing, send it to them, whether they like, it will not work.
But Senator,
embrace them. Talk to them. They are part of your party. They are part of your government.
No, Senator, it's not only the APC that is in the National Assembly. There are other political parties there. And that was why I was asking whether we're likely to have a repeat of the 2015 situation. We don't imagine that President Tinubu will be able to persuade members of other political parties who have also formed their own caucus and they are insisting on independence. Then you said something about money, that senators have to report back to their constituencies. Is it standard practice that leadership positions in Nigeria's National Assembly are for sale, are available for the highest bidder?
As I said how many years ago, Nigerian politics is not for the poor. No matter how much you describe it, it's for the rich. If you don't have enough funds, just don't come into politics. You will never get through. And that is the truth. So a poor man cannot say, I'm a senator. Or a poor man cannot say, I want to be the president of the Senate. How does it work out? You must be able to stand very solid to be able to play politics in Nigeria. Very, very solid.
So all these are our distinguished senators. They are rent collectors, more or less. That's what you are saying. They won't function except they collect rent.
No. They are not poor people. No. I'm just saying they are not poor people.
But they collect money.
There is nobody who is going to be a senator today and will be a poor person. No. They are not poor.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
If you are campaigning.
Yeah. Okay, interesting take, sir. And thank you for giving us your perspective and where you're coming from in terms of your view about politics in Nigeria. You talked about mentors who control, as it were, the Senate, even though they have people who are sitting there physically, but people who literally, with one phone call, can decide the way in which our elected representatives vote. Are these mentors, are they politicians themselves? Are they business owners? And where do their interests lie? Is it for the people? How do they, you know, what can you give us an idea of who these mentors are? What do they do? Who are they? So that we have a sense as to the people truly in charge of this, you know, of the house and how they would handle Nigerians.
There are certain institutions in Nigeria that you can never wish away. Either they are businessmen, they are emirs, they are obas, they are whatever in their own zones. They have something they want to gain from legislation or, you know, bodies, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Nigerian Institute of Engineers, medical doctors, labor union. They are lobbyists. They want to have a voice. They want to have somebody who they can talk to. And it happens to us severally. You will believe this situation is going to be, this is the result. But overnight, some institutions, some personalities, some, you know, unseen hands will dictate what is going to happen.
Who are these
and on the
unseen
floor
hands?
of the Senate, it will happen.
Who are these unseen hands, sir?
I don't know them.
But
They
you
are
are in
other
the Senate.
institutions.
You are in the
They are
Senate.
other community leaders. They are.
You are in the Senate yourself, sir.
I tried to analyze it.
Okay.
Yes, I tried to analyze it, but I couldn't get into too much details because it happens to us too. We are from the Southwest, right? We are Afenifere people. We are Nadeko people. The concept of Afenifere in national assignment is different. What you are going to say there must be in conformity with restructuring, with true federalism. So every zone has their own agenda. So if you cannot carry the agenda of Afenifere, for instance, because we are going to hold meetings, you know, with Afenifere leadership, and we have to consult with them, and they will now advise us what to do. So nobody is free. No individual is free in the Senate. No. You must have an agenda that you are carrying to the Senate. And those are the people that can influence your decisions.
Okay, Senator Ogunlewe, two things are on my mind. The first one is what you just said. The Rich Boys Club, if that's what we want to call our politicians of today or the so-called leaders that we have in our government, whether senators or members of the executive, they will never really care about the common man to a large extent. Is that part of the dysfunctionality that we have in our politics and in our government? Because to get into that office, they're so rich, they really don't care. And they will go there to collect whatever they have invested, in a manner of speaking. They didn't go there to do service. They went in there to recoup their investment and to get profit on it. So while you're talking about that, I also want you to very quickly look at the issue of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu and the Southeast. The Southeast is very, very much in the race, and they are interested. But do you think there is any chance for them in this 10th Assembly?
I've said this severally. The people from the Southeast must try to invest in politics. They must reach out. They must expand their frontier. They must have friends. They must make sure that when they talk, they have friends in the Southeast, Northwest, Northeast, that can key into their, views and support them. In the area of money, I can assure you, we chose the line of presidential system of government, which is capitalist, egalitarian, and has nothing to do with the poor people. If we can go back to parliamentary system, where your community will determine who is going to be a commissioner, who is going to be a minister, you must contest election. But in a presidential system, you have only two people you are voting for, the president and the vice president. He chooses his cabinet, whether they vote for them or not. So that is the dilemma we have. A minister does not have a constituency. He was never voted for. He doesn't know the community is there. And when he behaves the way he behaves, we start to complain. Unless we try real democracy, which is the parliamentary system, so that people in the community will determine their leadership. But this one is presidential, wasteful, too expensive. You know, unless you have a very sensible and knowledgeable leadership in the presidency or the governor, this country will be at a limbo forever. Because there are so many things that people will do and they have no place to go back to and report. But if you are voted for in a constituency and you misbehave, when you come back home, they will ask you questions. But this time around, in a presidential system, too expensive to maintain for a developing nation like ours. Well, I am not in support of presidential system of government. But that is where we are. It is too expensive. You can never participate in any election as a councillor, as a House of Assembly, without heavy war chest. The money you spend can never be quantified. You cannot write it down.
Okay, Senator Ogunlewe.
It is just too expensive.
Senator,
very, very.
Senator, let's digress a little bit away from the leadership of the next National Assembly and talk about fuel subsidy removal and the sudden rise in the cost of living affecting maybe not rich people like yourself, but ordinary Nigerians who have to go from Ikeja to Bariga and to other parts of the country. And the averted strike and the plan to continue to hold dialogue. Beyond saying Tinubu is a magician, he will resolve the magic. What are your views?
Thank you very much. One, we have to go back to the old system where we have bulk purchase companies. If you go to Ojota or go to any market, 50% of the products brought from the internet for sale at the market will get rotten because there is no preservation, there is no processing. So that is what is causing, the hike in price of foodstuff. Just go there one day and you see a heap of bananas, potatoes, carrots that is getting rotten. So the bulk purchase company will buy from these people, take it to the local government, and the local government will now subsidize it for sale to the masses. Or you can give them stamps. To say, if you have this stamp, you buy at a reduced rate. But the easiest one is bulk purchase company. We used to have it before. We will reduce, if you buy 1,000 tubers of yam, government can now subsidize it and sell it as a reduced rate to the masses at the local government level or at the world level. We used to have this thing when we were younger in service. They were selling foodstuff to civil servants at reduced rate. So the issue of all subsidy is gone. What do we now do? Innocent can give us 1,000 buses. Let us reduce the bus fare for everybody at the expense of government. Government should pay. If you have a downfall, okay, let us discount it. If you carry X number of passengers, they will pay 100 naira. Government will give you a stamp and they will give you the balance. That is subsidy. It doesn't have to be petrol. You can subsidize food. You can subsidize transportation. You can subsidize education. Give every child book, exercise book, pencil, biro, everything. Every child in the school, in primary and secondary school. That is the way to subsidize education. Give them computer free. Go to the medical center, build additional primary health care, one per ward. Every ward in Nigeria must have a primary health center. Put drugs there. Put auxiliary nurses there so that they can go to house to take care of people that are sick. There are so many ways to subsidize. You can subsidize health facilities. You can subsidize food. You can subsidize transportation. You can subsidize education. You can buy school uniform for children so that the pressure on the parents will be reduced. It is not only by buying petrol. This is a scam. And then we say that is the only way to subsidize. No. There are so many things you can subsidize.
You are recommending replacing...
You can bring food to people's home.
Sir, you are recommending replacing one subsidy with another subsidy. The whole logic of subsidy...
There is no country without subsidy. There is no country without subsidy. You must subsidize, but how do you do so? It is not only by petrol, that's what I'm saying. If you say every child in every primary school in Nigeria will go to school free with books, biro, pencil, computer, school uniform, food, that is subsidy in education. The parents will be happy.
Okay. All right, sir. So very briefly, we're out of time now, but I was just going to go back to what you were saying with regards to subsidizing education, and and you're right. Even in other oil-producing countries, they subsidize. The only challenge with subsidy or one of the big challenges with subsidy in Nigeria is that it has become a racket. It's become a cesspool of corruption, and so that's why it has to go. But one of the things, or the reasons why one would make policies like this in terms of subsidizing education is because there's political will. There are people who go on to take on political positions because they want to serve the people. But you've talked about politics of money. How will this happen if you invest a lot of money as a rich man in going into politics, and then you have to make returns on your investment? How will you properly serve the people if you're saying that the only way to to do politics in Nigeria is by money? How will you then have leaders who want to serve the people and not want to find ways to take money here and there to get returns on their investment?
Fantastic question. Public policy can reduce poverty. Public policy can reduce corruption. Public policy, you have to look. We are not running a nation that is just giving back to. We went to primary school free of charge. I serve under a government where you also know what I'm talking about. Every facility for the child, primary, secondary, was given by the government, free. Everything. That is subsidy. So once they have confidence in the policy, the next election, when you bring your money, they will say, no, that is what we are used to. They will tell you, this government is our government. Look at the books they gave to my child. Look at the exercise book. I've never been paying anything. So what are you going to tell me? This money you are going to give me, what am I going to do with it? The policy of this government is free, compulsory, primary, secondary education. Everything free. So if you give me money now, what am I going to do with the money? Is this policy of this government that I'm voting for? And they vote. Before, we were voting the agent of the party at the polling booth. We are not paid. They volunteer to be there because they know it is going to be their government. Who owns the government now? The government is there. The masses are here. There is no way to, no meeting point between the policy of government and the masses. So that is what is bringing suffering. Look, in some other area, once you are above 70, there are certain things, benefits you get from government. Either they give you food stamp, they bring food to your house. We can work it out easily. But it must be a policy. If not, there is no way you can run a country without carrying along the poor majority. Well, the majority, they are poor. They need to be, given subvention or given subsidy. The subsidy in petrol is for the rich. Gives them subsidy for food. Gives them subsidy for education. Give them subsidy for health services. Well, they'll be happier. And Nigeria will be a better country.
Well, on that note, we would like to thank you very much, Senator Adeseye Ogunlewe, former Minister of Works of Nigeria and an APC chieftain, for joining us on the morning show today.